Hello, hello. My name is Justin. If this is your first time here, I am just a human being who has lived on other planets, and I just share some different things. So, this is what I want to share about today because I feel called to probably make more, I don't know, at least this video about my experience with our justice system. Um, so, and I know I've shared about this before, but I feel that it's important for me to go into more detail about what happened because when I see things come into the public eye about our system and how it operates, here's the thing because we end up making things about, and I'm not making this wrong, but we end up making things about race and we make things about all these different, being gay or whatever. As a gay white male, I personally don't think that what happened to me has anything to do with my sexual orientation. And it's all about money. And I think that the more that we can focus on the fact that our entire system is so incredibly corrupt, then we can come together as people, as the people. And navigating our court system when you don't have money, they will spend things however they want. And even if you do have money, I mean, you can pay for lawyers, but it's a game of the ego, and it's all about who, they schmooze each other and they manipulate each other and they play their little games while people's lives hang in the balance. And so I want to share this experience of going through our Houston jail system. So, and here's the thing, I don't take the victim stance because this happened about 2 months before my awakening, and I see it from a higher perspective, and I see that I really believe that this is something that my soul chose to go through so that I could be a voice within this system, and that's what I choose to focus on. I also have compassion for the person that attacked me because I know that he's suffering, because nobody attacks somebody in the way that I was attacked without suffering themselves. So the whole situation was weird though, and I had taken some substances. I was not drunk, but I had taken some substances. I had made the decision not to drive because I knew I was not in a position to drive, and I was not in the condition to drive, which for me was a big move for me to decide to call an Uber. And I was on the phone with my mother telling her about the situation, and then got off the phone, called an Uber. I had been parked there for about an hour. Car was off. I was outside the car was locked. I was pulling up Uber on my phone, and based on a witness from earlier who was somebody that I had directly connected with in this park, they had called the cops on me. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. The first person on the scene, the first cop, was very rude, and I was being totally respectful. I was not yelling or screaming or whatever. He was yelling and screaming at me. Second cop comes on the scene. He makes me feel safe. So comes up, starts like humanizing me, and having a very calm conversation with me. And I was thanking him for treating me like a human being, because the other guy was just yelling at me, and I was like, I really appreciate that, And literally then it was like maybe 20 minutes of me talking to this guy, and then all of a sudden he looked at the other guy, said something to him, and I was completely caught off guard because I said, I just don't understand why y'all are arresting me. I was not screaming, yelling, being violent, or anything like that. And then I was attacked. Totally caught off guard, body slammed to the concrete. he jumped on top of me and was rubbing me into the concrete, and he took my hoodie string, he wrapped it around my neck and was applying pressure. I had called my mother back right before this happened because I'm very in tune with energy, and I could feel the energy of the situation shift. So I called my mom and I was like, I feel like, or maybe I called her back right when the cops came on the scene. That's what it was. Because I said, hey, I feel like things are about to get weird, because I saw the cop coming on, and I was like, I just wanted to have the phone on with you on it just in case anything weird happens. So my mother heard the entire thing. She couldn't find her recorder, of course, at her house. She was trying to find it. So she heard the entire thing play out. And so he's on top of me, he's choking me, and I'm like, and then when my head turned, I could smell alcohol in his breath. Been around alcohol a lot in my life, and people that, struggled with alcoholism. I mean, it was that fermented, like lots of alcohol. Like he had been heavily drinking and just drove on the scene to arrest me. Then I find out when I get to the jail, which was after I was thrown in the back of the cop car. The paramedics laughed at me. There is something, and this is an intuitive knowing, there is something on my name that they see that I don't know what it says, and they actually told me, like, at one point there was something that I was supposed to have to sign for my rights, and they were like, and the guy was like, oh, well, I was told with him to just bypass that, to bypass his rights, which, by the way, I was committed against my will in 2019 to a psych ward for a 7-day hold, which I also then I didn't know any of the laws. I was committed for a 7-day hold, which I don't even think is legal. And they knew how I feel about our current system. I've made comments, especially during those times when I was really upset, and there is things that have been employed by that system which actually led me to that psychotic break, played a part in leading me to that psychotic break. I'm not fighting them. I am bringing awareness to what has happened. And I know now that I've always felt like I was from other planets, and like there's these dark forces that know what my mission is here. So there's a lot of crazy things that happen in my life. And anyways, I feel like at that time when I was held, it's like there's something on there that they're keeping hidden from me, that they haven't said to me. I also had cops tell me, well, is there not something else that you think that you disagree with that's on here? And I'm like, and I've heard that multiple times in different ways. And I'm like, I don't know what the deal is. And I don't get too caught up in those details, because the most important thing for me is to stay connected to my divine truth and bring awareness to what's happening within our system. So I went to the Harris County Jail, which many people in there told me that have been to jails across the country that it is the worst. And they do this thing while you're in there. It's like a purge alarm that goes off, and they say, all staff, please walk off the property. All staff, please walk off the property. I don't know if this is some sort of experimental thing. People in there were telling me, oh yeah, this is what they do if you get put on a bad block, which the guy turned the thing around on me. I've never hit anyone in my life. I'm not a violent person. Literally, I was not created to fight. That it was not part of my character. And I'm not saying that makes me better. I'm saying actually it's really challenging in a society where especially men are told to fight. I am not violent. I was literally attacked by this guy. And so then he turned it around on me as an assault on a peace officer. Felony charge, assault charge, felony assault charge. I was like, I can't believe that this is happening. I didn't have the money for a lawyer. And then when I got into the holding area, they also were all schmoozing each other and just like basically saying, as long as this doesn't get in, there's only maybe 2 people that this shouldn't run across. As long as they don't see this video, you're good. And this was in areas where there wasn't cameras and they weren't scared to talk about these things. So the purge alarm thing, while I was in the holding cell, goes off. Everybody explains basically, if you're on one of the bad blocks, which the people they put on the bad blocks, I ended up only in holding for like 3 days. Something was watching over me. But they put the ones that have like assault charges on peace officers and things like that, they put them on the harder blocks. And basically, the purge alarm thing and the staff walking off, it allows people, this is what the people in the jail were telling me, they weed each other out. So people die if you're on the bad blocks, and they come and clean it up. This is literally like the Hunger Games, okay? And then, you know, I had a public defender who used to be a DA, and she gaslit me. They wouldn't let me see the video. And basically, it ended up that they, like, in order for me to get rid of the felony, because they charged me with a DWI, which was crazy because I wasn't driving. It was based on a witness. I didn't understand. And the felony judge, they separate the courts now, which in Houston, which I think is weird. And the felony judge was this really sweet lady, but they kept it from coming across. If she had seen that video, and basically they forced my hand into an agreement to destroy the video. In order for me to have the felony assault charge dropped from my record, I had to agree that they could destroy the video. I had to sign that they could destroy video evidence. As I was gaslit through that system, that public defender was gaslighting me the whole time. Oh, you don't remember how this happened, da-da-da. I'm like, my mom was on the phone the entire time. She heard exactly what happened. And I'm like, if this is happening, if this happened to me, it's a game of money more than anything. It's so corrupt, and it's a game of the ego. They want to feel like they're in control and like they're better than us. Like, oh yeah, this is just that guy that does drugs. Because I was struggling with addiction at that. Like, if we think that doing that and acting in that way towards people on drugs is helping, which they have to know that it's not. It is perpetuating the issue, but it is feeding the system of money, of lawyers, of all of it. They do not want to fix these problems. It feeds the system. I see where they actually create the issues so that people continue, and the system keeps you stuck. I still can't get my license. I was supposed to be able to get it back like 9 months ago. Nobody can figure out. They've never seen why it is that I can't get my license back. I cleared up everything on my thing. The period of time of the suspension is over. Nobody will tell me what's going on. Can't get a hold of the court. It's all and if I had bought into all this stuff, because then I told them I was getting a job, but I was going to be in an area with no public transportation. I needed to be able to get my license back. They didn't follow through on the things they were supposed to for me to be able to get my license back. If I had bought into all that, I probably would have ended up back on drugs again, because I just was like, well, you know what? I have to drive because I have to get a job. The judge was yelling at me to get a job. I'm like, I've put out over 100 applications. I haven't been able to get a job. And I'm going to have to drive in order to, and so he was supposed to remove the suspension. He didn't. I chose to continue driving because I needed to drive in order to be able to get to a job so I could move forward. And still, I can't completely move. It's been over a year now, and I still am unable to get my license. Nobody can help me with this matter. And so I know I have tons of angelic protection, and I know I needed that situation to lead to my awakening, and that's what I choose to focus on. And there's been many times that it's almost like cops don't see me, or there's things overlooked that like angels are working through and keeping me protected, and I needed to go through that situation. That doesn't mean that our justice system isn't a problem. And something needs to happen and something needs to change, because the more things that I see of people going through similar situations to what I went through, it's like we make it a thing where we end up fighting about race, and we fight about sexual orientation and all the, it's like, we are human beings. We are all human beings. And I feel like that's important to see. And our system, it's about money. It's about corruption. Um, it's about ego. It's about them feeling like they're better than other people. And that's a problem. Like, it's a problem. And I just feel we need to bring more awareness to it. And this system, I mean, I just know it's gonna fall. I just know it's important for me to share my story. And if anyone else is going through this, know that you can always reach out to me. And um, I can't even imagine the amount of people, that are going through similar situations. And I was just in a place where I knew my truth. I had my awakening by the time I went to the court, through the court system. So I was coming from this high vibrational state, and I was just looking like, there is no soul. There is no soul in that, and they are not they are dehumanizing. And it's like, I can see that is a reflection of them. I'm like, the way you're acting towards people is a reflection of where you're at, the fact that you've sold your soul in this system. And this is keeping people stuck. Like, it's important to see that. And if we really care, like, we have to come together as the people. And in order for us to do that, we have to stop making it about race and LGBT and all that, and see that we as human beings, this is also our system that we created, and it has gotten out of control. It's a problem. It's time to create something new.